And here we are again, now fellow viewer. It's nice to see you once more. What's been happening in your life? Did you have a good day? Are you eating your breakfast properly? Are you tipping your waitresses? Most importantly, are you getting your daily amounts of bubble tea today? Boba. Well, no matter, I welcome all of you to another review on our wonderful channel. This time around, I have been humbly asked by our patron, Leah Meza, to review a certain older series that takes us back to a simpler time. A time where fan subs were king, and hoping, no, praying immensely to the anime gods that your favorite series wasn't subjected to the out-of-license guillotine. Unfortunately, this review is about one of those casualties. So without any further ado, here is the spring 2004 fantasy adventure anime Kyoi Kara Maoh, the anime that really puts heart before art. Cue the fancy trumpets! Kyoi Kara Maoh starts like the usual setup. Shibuya Yuri is your average Japanese high school teenager who one day sees a classmate being harassed by bullies. Thanks to this intervention, his friend is able to escape, leaving Yuri unfortunately as the bully's new target. From one royal flush to another, Yuri is suddenly transported to a super swirly experience into a medieval-like fantasy world, complete with magic, mayhem, and mysteries in all directions. There he is told that he will become the next Demon King due to his black hair and black eyes, traits only possessed by the demon's royal lineage. Together with his loyal entourage of male Bishonen compatriots, his trusty school uniform, and the ongoing prejudice between humans and demons, aka the Mazaku, Yuri must now learn what it takes to be a true Demon King as he tries to keep the peace and overcome the many trials that await him. And for this anime, many was an understatement, since this show itself was a long-running series. So you know what that means! And if you don't, it's practically okay. I barely do this segment anyway. It's time to break it down! Kyoi Kara Maoh is a 117-episode series with the first 2 seasonal runs from April 2004 to February 2006 having 78 episodes, while the remaining 3rd episode having 39 episodes. Its run was from April 3rd, 2008 to February 19th, 2009. I have 2 written in air quotes because it felt iffy how the original run doesn't differentiate the 2 seasons, leaving people on the surface confused about whether they missed something or not. Though with season 3 being a continuation regardless, it's not that strenuous to figure out. This is all accompanied by the in-between 5-episode OVA series, Kyoi Kara Maoh R, debuting in October 2007 and ending in March 2008. Which more or less introduces new characters and refreshes the audience of the show from its year hiatus. Now for the sake of time and clarification, I decided to make this review only about the first 2 seasons, boiling down to the fact that besides the update in graphics, most of my following points in this review can apply to season 3. And if you like the first 2 seasons, you'll probably want to check out the sequel. So if everybody's good on those terms, then I'm going to continue on with the plot now. Now, back at the beginning of this video, I said that Kyoi Kara was essentially heart before art. Because let's face it for what it is. The plot is ridiculous most if not all of the time, ranging from overly convenient to just nonsensical in nature. Regardless, Kyoi Kara has that Saturday morning feel to it, where each arc is easy to predict with no real worry that something permanent will happen to our heroes. And the show is super duper cheesy. Like, if you stack that amount of cheese on a hamburger, it would look like this. Times 2. If you're the type looking for a, intellectual show like Akka or Steins Gate or Serial Experiments Lane, then this clearly is not the show for you, my friend. Also, I'm just really super salty about how many mixed signals the show is throwing at me to either ship the characters or not. One minute it encourages said behavior, and other times the show feels like it completely ignores the really obvious shonenized setups that got a lot of this fan base going for this franchise in the first place. True, this show may be one to lean more towards an adventure fantasy asset with a real focus on comedy, but certain relationships that were dangling in my face blatantly were just left by the wayside. However, what it lacks in innovative storytelling is redeemed in how the show best utilizes its limitations. Despite everything I just said, the show is very enjoyable to watch in a binging setting. Its cheesiness adds to its Saturday morning charm, and actually now that I think about it, the plot gives off a very similar vibe to how season 1 of Pokemon or Sailor Moon went. Not by how the plot was executed, but really how it felt. While I was watching this anime for the review, I confided with my closest friends on every revelation, plot twist, and sequence, even if I knew in the back of my head that I saw it coming a mile away. It's this magic that's kind of lost now in modern anime. And when I say modern anime, I mean the whole 12-episode factorization of the popularity format that's going on right now. Kyokar to me really feels like an anime fan's passion project that finally got a chance to be put on TV. Sure, this passion project didn't get the best company to animate with, or should I say, best company to animate with at that time. But at the very least, it felt like the show had fun existing in it. So in this case, for the sake of plot, I can forgive the graphics since while it's not a show that's going to win any awards anytime soon, it's one where it eases you into something digestively quaint. And that's alright. Maybe the very reason I think I could easily accept a plot was because of how the characters were not only utilized, but tempered. On one hand, because it's a long-running series, the re-emphasis of characters are crucial to keeping one's retention. But on the other hand, if you separated the plot and the characters from each other, you can see how fragile the foundations are because again, the characters on a critical level were not that very impressive. Though, Kyokar's tactical positioning on how and when to grow its cast was the key. Looking at our main character Shibuya Yuri is all we need to know in order to prove this point. The show starts the series off with all that's needed to know to understand Yuri's origins and why it's so important to unraveling its birthright. This section at times could have given too much away in my opinion, but it was a decent foundational point that helps us, the viewer, feel for his situation. Now Shibuya Yuri is a high school kid who starts the series off as someone who doesn't have much going for him. Well, one could argue that besides his chosen one duty taped onto his back and his love for baseball, the result is more or less the same by the end. Though that doesn't mean his surroundings, upbringing, and interactions with other characters don't give Yuri any merit at all. We see over time that Yuri is a straightforwardly earnest person who will help others without a second thought, with the beauty of him getting to the point and being open to helping people was the bigger treat in all of that. In the first episode, even though he was reluctant to help his new friend Murata Ken from his bullying situation, he still did it, which shows that there was potential on his part alone to be a good, heartwarming leader. It just needed time to flesh itself out, and fleshed out it does become. Thanks to multiple trials, mindsets, and events, Shibuya Yuri learns to become a confident soul who can ease the disheartened doubts of others out of the mindsets of a prejudiced war, or at least tries to. His flaws may range from being a whiny little shit who charges into unbalanced situations way too often, sucking hardcore at combat, to his selfless selfishness by not considering the bind he puts his fellow countrymen in whenever he almost gets himself killed. But his Maoh mode, as cheesy as it is always interesting to watch. It's enough for me to tolerate him as a character overall. Tolerate. Not like, but tolerate. Good baby steps. As for the side characters, this is where the show really shines on its own merit, and proves that there are some things in anime form that can't be replicated in a manga. 9 times out of 10, the side characters are the ones who really steal the show, and I love how the series makes sure everybody gets a decent amount of screen time and character development. And if they aren't part of the main entourage, there's always a high chance you'll be seeing these characters again down the line. First in our gallery of do-gooders are the nobility brothers, Gwendol von Voltaire, Conrad Weller, and Wolfram von Biefeld. 3 characters who we see more often than not and have some of the most interesting backstories in the show. Gwendol is the oldest, most militant and stoic of the 3 brothers, as he's normally one of the few characters who's skeptical about a lot of things going on. making sure that just in case there's always a backup plan ready and waiting. However, under that tough, pessimistic warrior mindset lies a quiet Otaman who loves knitting, children, and spoiling Yuri more than he wants to admit. Then there's Conrad, who not only gets most screen time than other characters in the show, but is the one who really set a lot of these events in motion. He's the type of loyal knight that under his gentle smile and shoulder to cry on, has a lot of hidden baggage. Though despite his development, I personally didn't like him very much because he seemed too Gary Sue-ish for me. Finally rounding out the brothers is the youngest, good old Wolfram. In RPG terms, he'd be the show's fire mage, having those magical base combat. He's the type of character who wears his heart on his sleeve, not being shy to pronounce his hatred of humans, his love for Yuri, and just being a little shit in general. And as much as he can be very annoying sometimes, he is one of my favorite characters because he's got that cool combination of having enough flaws to develop with over time, and be someone who hints at various mysteries in the plot without giving too much away. As for all the other characters, it would take way too long in this video to talk about everyone, so I'm gonna hear a few words about some of my favorites. Gunther, oh Gunther, you sweet, sweet man. Even though you're the royal advisor, you're constantly getting left behind, doing all of the grunt work in the background. Though your antics may be run into the ground by this point, your actions and comedic side stories were always pleasant to watch. Yozak! Cute air guitar. Okay, real talk, favorite character in the show. He's got that perfect combination of witty banter, underhanded trickery, and realism for the heat of battle that seeing him save our heroes in the jam is so much fun. I mean, if a JoJo in Mexico has taught us anything, it's that cross-dressing always wins out in the end, whether you get caught or not. Next, I would like to give a special note to Yuri's parents for actually being in the show. If there's one thing here on Anime America we love to point out, is that parents always get the short end of the stick. So it's a nice change of pace to see them in an actively involving role. Finally, for the award for best meta plays in the show goes to these three castle maids right here. Because come on, you cannot possibly tell me those three do not represent the audience. But that's all I can say about the characters really without bringing up all the backstory. In which, by the way, if you get hooked on this show like surprisingly I did, then you'll see that the backstory really elevated the world and characters into such more of a livelier place. Though, unfortunately, it did overcast the blatant mediocrity of it all. But at the very least, it was a great distraction. At least for a while. And now it's time for my new mid-video segment, the Community Corner, the time where I give a shout out to other creative outlets in the anime community in hopes that more people will have a look-see. This first shout out is dedicated to one of my closest friends and someone who has helped me when the chips were really down, so I feel like it was only fair to make him the guinea pig for this segment. Anyway, Neo Schneider's DeviantArt houses artwork of his original characters from his always expanding story that he's crafted meticulously all these years. While sometimes you can view his series through his written works and other forms of community discussions, most of his content is of his drawings and the interactions that play out inside them. If you're interested in roleplays or characters of the fantasy, adventure, drama sort, you can head on over to princeschneider.deviantart.com to check it out. Let's start up a conversation and see where it goes, and if you really like what you see or just want to support another artist, he's selling prints of his art in the $5 to $15 range, so you've got your options. Now, if you know of any creative outlets that need attention in this world of anime, either comment down below or at AAShannon on Twitter with the hashtag CommunityCorner to tell me all about it. In this time where outreach is more important than ever, well, I may be just one girl on the internet, I will always try my best. Do I have to do the section? Really? Can't we just skip it? Okay, fine. But don't come a-running when the audience starts bashing me for bullying a 13-year-old anime. And not sending me lasagna pictures at AAShannon on Twitter. Yes, I did. But you can throw me a bone for the inevitable criticizing I'm going to get. So if you haven't guessed already, I have a tiny issue about the presentation. And in that tiny, I mean it's a big stinking pile of... Okay, obviously, if you're coming to this anime expecting today's pretty pixels, then you can leave your muchus at the door. Really, I'm just disappointed that such an anime with this much heart behind it got the cheap end of the stick. For a franchise that has a multitudes of manga material, games, and CDs fueling behind its popularity, you'd think there'd be more livelier action scenes or more varied camera angles because come on, Studio D. You may have done your fair share of flops around this time period. Yes, the early 2000s was an experimental age for anime, but you have done better around this time period. You had Hellgirl, Ronin Kenshin, Ranma 1/2, Full Moon to a point even though that's a slice of life, and many more that were just quaint and fun. But this was not a representation of your best work. I will throw you a bone and give you credit where it's due. Throughout the show's life cycle and into season 3, the character designs, backgrounds, and actions became more complex as time went on. Everything became fleshed out, and the heart of actually making things right was there. But I still had a problem with how many times you had bare-bone rooms with nothing really in the background, or the recycling of certain character animation. And I'm going to say this right now, I'm just a girl on the internet who doesn't know the complete ins and outs of the behind-the-scenes animation process of freelancers. But as someone who reviews stuff for both myself and for others on the internet, I can't help but poke out these things when I can. Now sometimes this janky setup is to the show's benefit, but I cannot forgive everything on nostalgia alone. Not to mention how passé the first opening and endings were. The second season's opening and endings were an improvement, but nothing that spits out good or even great results. And these problems are more elevated when you tie it up with the horror that is the English dub. Granted, I watched Kyokara subbed, though I can't blame the times. Older anime are just much harder to find nowadays. Finding an official sub for everything is not gonna work out all the time. But out of curiosity, I decided to watch the first 3 episodes again dubbed. And let's just say I needed a really long nap when I was done. Apparently, Kyokara's licensed broadcasting and distribution rights were thrown all over the place in many areas before getting the Jenny on boot. So unfortunately, it's a tragic mess overall. Okay, that about wraps up this section, but I hope you're hungry for some upcoming juicy entertainment because it's time. What do you mean we're not doing after show today? What do you mean stop reading the cue cards out loud? Shannon Alpha was hit so hard in the head by this pillow on accident that she ended up needing a few hours to nap, so we're just gonna let her do that. Regardless, she wanted to say that because there's not really anything plot or character-wise going on with Kyokara that needed to be explored more, we're gonna skip this segment this time around. We are not kidding you, the show's events are really that predictable. So I hope you understand that we're just gonna move on to final thoughts. We're good? Good! Kyokara Maoh was an anime that honestly conflicted me as both a critic and avid anime watcher. On a critical viewpoint, the show was cheesy, predictable, was riddled with presentation issues, and was a show that even tested my patience for how much I could forgive. But on the enjoyment side of things, I really liked the flavor text of characters and their backgrounds and backstories. The cheesiness worked to its advantage sometimes, and I liked the digestible amount of filler episodes when I did have the patience to just sit down and enjoy. I could inherently value the passion and heart that breathed into every life of an otherwise lackluster show. So after some consideration, and 11
stinking rotations on the magical flushing toilet,
I award Kyokara Maoh Season 1 and 2 with a strange recommendation to try it, and with a watchability rating of PG. The try it rating to me has a happy medium between recommending a show that with enough patience for the nostalgia heart of everything is at least worth a few episodes if you're not going to watch the full seasonal run. And also not recommending it if you want something critically good. Not everyone will appreciate the small charm that it has, and if you really don't see it, that's also perfectly fine. Plus, availability-wise, it's something that I do calculate in verdicts sometimes. And since Kyokara is out of print and unlicensed now, I felt that it wasn't that much of a need to go out of your way to look for. The watchability is reflected on the show's desire to not shed so much blood or hurt the characters mentally or emotionally in general. And as I've said before, there's no real intellectual takeaway from this. Really, it's all about an adventure about a boy, his court, and what he has to do to be the best he can be. As for other recommendations, I have first some anime here all about going into another world. Amatsuki, Erotic Kangatari, and Juni Kokiri. Granted, Juni is my blind pick of the review this time around, but I thought it'd be a good obscure anime that not many have seen. Then we have the picks that involve more romance and adventure that Kyokara could ever dish out, aka my salty picks. Sayu Koko Monogatari, Gaku in Heaven, and Gravitation. Next we have picks that are considered to be more well-known stuff. Fushigi Yugi, Makin OG Devil and Realist, and Pandora Hearts. And finally, we have the shows Mare, Log Horizon, in which I already did a review about, and Thermane Romane. 3 shows who all share the commonality of having heart and passion breathing in every frame. So between all of these titles, I hope you find something you'll enjoy. And as one review comes to a close, another one opens close into the future. Of course, I couldn't have made this review possible without our patron Leah Meza giving me a chance to review it. Seriously though, thank you all so much for watching me doing something that helped me emotionally in these dark times of my 20s where the whole I don't know where I'm going in my life syndrome is acting up constantly. This has been your loving co-host Shannon, and this is my pet snake Steve playing the accordion. So until next time, ship everything in the world, and stay tuned to Anime America. Play us out, Steve!
Want to support the production? Check out our brand new store on Store Envy. For a small price, you can have a one-of-a-kind poster made by yours truly. If you can only give a small amount to help us out, check out our Patreon page. Any amount you wish to give us goes towards our production needs, so anything you can give us helps us a lot. To keep up with the latest in Anime America stuff, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even Tumblr. Be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe to Anime America for more awesome reviews and top 10 lists. If you're interested in anything of pop culture, be sure to subscribe to Pop Spectrum. Thank you all for watching, and stay tuned to Anime America.